Hollywood's golden age sparkled with fame, beauty, and promise. But behind the shimmering lights was a machine that chewed up its stars and spat out their broken bodies. This wasn't glamour, it was exploitation disguised as entertainment. These weren't wild partiers or reckless rebels. They were victims of a system that fed them pills, controlled their lives, and then abandoned them the moment they slipped. 8 icons, 8 careers, 8 lives shattered by the very industry that made them famous. Their downfalls weren't personal failures. They were Hollywood's darkest secrets, hidden behind studio doors for generations. And today, we're pulling those doors wide open. When Bobby Driscoll became the first contracted child actor for Walt Disney Studios, he was the golden boy every studio dreamed of. With his bright expression and natural talent, he starred in classics like Treasure Island, Song of the South, and lent his voice to Peter Pan. But once puberty hit, and his face began to change, Disney didn't just let him go, they blacklisted him. The studio warned others he was difficult, effectively ending his career overnight. Imagine being the most special child in America one day and worthless the next. Forced into a regular school after years on set, he was bullied relentlessly by classmates jealous of his fame. To cope, he turned to alcohol, then heroin. Years later, he openly admitted the unthinkable. Disney taught me to use drugs. They gave me pills to stay awake, pills to sleep. His decline was rapid and brutal. In 1968, children discovered a body lying on a cot in a deserted building in New York's East Village. No recognition. He was buried on Hart Island as a John Doe. A year later, fingerprints revealed the truth. The lost man was Bobby Driscoll, the same boy who played a child that never grows up. He was only 31. While Bobby's fall was heartbreaking, the tragedy of Judy Garland may be Hollywood's most disturbing example of deliberate destruction. At just 13, while filming The Wizard of Oz, MGM Studios began feeding her pills they called pep vitamins. But they were anything but vitamins. They were amphetamines to keep her awake through brutal shooting schedules, appetite suppressants to keep her thin, and barbiturates to force her to sleep. By 16, Judy Garland was chemically dependent on a cycle she didn't choose and didn't even understand. Executives controlled her diet, her weight, her sleep, even her emotions. They had studio doctors dose her like a lab experiment. And when she inevitably broke under the chemicals forced into her young body, GM labeled her unreliable and fired her without remorse. She was never offered rehab, never offered help. She died alone in a London home at 47, her body aged decades beyond her years. The studio executives who put pills in her hands, when she was still playing with dolls, outlived her old dot. Then there was Gail Russell, one of the most stunning faces ever discovered by Paramount Pictures. She never wanted to act. She wanted to be an artist. But the studio saw a beautiful face, threw her in front of cameras with zero training, and expected perfection. What they didn't know or didn't care about was that she suffered from crippling stage fright. She trembled. She vomited. She froze. And the studio's solution wasn't therapy, training, or guidance. It was alcohol. Directors handed her drinks before scenes. Crew members kept bottles on set. Just a few sips to calm your nerves, they told her. But a few sips became a coping mechanism. That coping mechanism became her survival. And survival became addiction. Her beauty collapsed under the weight of alcoholism, transforming her from ethereal star to a trembling shadow of herself. She died alone in her apartment at the age of 36. Surrounded by empty bottles, another victim of Hollywood's quick-fix solutions, the story of Montgomery Clift is one of brilliance crushed by pain. Considered by many as Marlon Brando's only true rival, Clift represented a new kind of raw, emotional masculinity. But in 1956, after leaving a party at Elizabeth Taylor's home, his car crashed into a telephone pole, shattering his face. The reconstructive surgery saved his life, but left him in constant, debilitating pain and struggling with a new image he barely recognized. Doctors prescribed painkillers, then more painkillers, then overlapping prescriptions from different physicians who never consulted one another. He followed their orders, mixing the drugs with alcohol in desperate attempts to silence the agony. Within years, his speech slurred, his memory weakened, and his once flawless performances fractured. Directors changed entire filming schedules to work around him, shooting early in the day before the pills overwhelmed him. He died at 45 of a heart attack, but the real killer was the decade-long pharmaceutical assault he endured. His home was found filled with more than 30 legally prescribed bottles. One friend later called it the longest suicide in Hollywood history. While many stars struggled with silent pain, Bela Lugosi, the legendary face of Dracula, battled a very different kind of monster. His chronic sciatic pain caused by years of physically demanding stage work left him barely able to move. The only treatment available in the 1930s was morphine. What began as legitimate medical use turned into escalating dependency. And as the horror genre evolved, his roles dried up. His Hungarian accent and iconic vampire image made him a prisoner of his own success. As work faded, his consumption grew. By the late 1940s, he was gaunt, shaky, and desperately taking any role he could find, including the famously low-budget films of Ed Wood, just to afford more medication. In 1955, in an act of courage rare for that time, he publicly admitted his addiction and checked into rehab. But treatments were primitive. The pain remained. The relapse came. He died in 1956 at 73, broke and forgotten, buried wearing a Dracula cape, forever tied to the character that made him famous and doomed him. One of Hollywood's most shocking downward spirals belonged to Barbara Payton, whose fall from stardom was as fast as it was brutal. Once a radiant Warner Brothers contract actress with breakout roles like Kiss Tomorrow, Goodbye, she had the looks and presence Hollywood adored. But her career imploded when she became entangled in a violent love triangle with actors Tom Neal and Franchot Tone. The tabloid frenzy destroyed reputations, but Barbara suffered the worst consequences. The men's careers bruised. Hers evaporated. As roles disappeared, she turned to alcohol, pills, barbiturates, and eventually heroin. Her appearance changed drastically. In just a few years, the glamorous blonde became nearly unrecognizable. Desperate for money and abandoned by the industry, she ended up working as a prostitute on Sunset Boulevard, walking the same streets where her films once premiered. She died at just 39, her body failing from years of substance abuse. Errol Flynn, the legendary star of Robin Hood and Captain Blood, lived off-screen with the same reckless energy that made him famous. He consumed alcohol, barbiturates, opiates, and cocaine, often mixing them in a single day. By his late 40s, his trembling hands required body doubles for simple shots, and his once heroic physique had deteriorated. Productions worked around his declining health, unable to intervene. When he died in 1959 at just 50, doctors said his organs resembled those of a man in his 70s. Then there was John Drew Barrymore, heir to the legendary Barrymore acting dynasty. He inherited extraordinary talent and a destructive family legacy. His father, John Barrymore, had been one of America's greatest actors until alcohol destroyed him. John Drew followed the same path, starting with drinking, then diving headfirst into LSD, amphetamines, and any drug he could find in the freewheeling Hollywood of the 1960s. He disappeared for days. Missed rehearsals. Became unpredictable and unhireable. Studios that once wanted him for his famous name now refused to touch him. His daughter, Drew Barrymore, later revealed that during her childhood, he was chemically absent. Physically there sometimes, but never mentally. John Drew died in 2004 at 72. Long estranged from the industry that once celebrated his family. And here's the truth. These stars weren't destroyed by drugs. They were destroyed by a system that introduced them to drugs, encouraged their use, and then pretended to be shocked when the consequences became impossible to hide. Hollywood built an empire on human exhaustion, emotional breakdowns, and chemically controlled performances. It normalized pills as solutions for hunger, fear, pain, and sleep. It created impossible schedules, impossible expectations, and impossible standards, and then blamed the addict when the pills did exactly what they were designed to do. The studios of the golden age don't openly hand out amphetamines and barbiturates anymore. But make no mistake, the machine still runs. The pressure to stay perfect, stay available, stay marketable hasn't changed. From Judy Garland to Heath Ledger, Hollywood keeps pushing its stars past human limits, then mourns them on camera while quietly slotting in the next face to replace them. The golden age was never truly golden. It was gilded, beautiful on the surface, but rotting beneath the shine dot as long as Hollywood's machine keeps grinding. Another Bobby Driscoll, another Judy Garland, another forgotten star will pay the price. If these stories opened your eyes, like, share, and subscribe so more people can see the truth hidden behind the golden age's shine. Thanks for watching.